You were supposed to phone me 2 days ago.
Okay, seriously, are you using a filter or something? Sound like you sound like AI.
No. How are you feeling?
I am tired. I look about 60, and I told everybody I was going to post this on Saturday night, and it is now Monday night.
So, have you figured it out?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I watched it 5 times, and I figured it out on the fifth viewing. And would you like to know what I figured out on the fifth viewing? I figured out that I can't fucking figure it out.
I don't understand. You always figure it out. What did you say?
Nothing. It was the dog.
When did you get a dog? Five times, eh? Is that a record for you?
It certainly is, and one I am very proud of. Thank you very much. I watched it on the first monitor, then I watched it on the second monitor, then I watched it on the carpet, and then I watched it in bed twice. But after my first viewing, I was totally confident, like smugly confident.
No, not you.
When the movie opens, Evie's mother dies. It seemed as clear as day to me, but then everything proceeds as if she's still alive. So I thought, okay, fine. Evie's an unreliable narrator. She's bogged down with denial and with guilt. So case closed and tied off with a nice neat bow. Johnny recapped the fuck out of another one. But something was nagging at me. If it's supposed to be a psychological breakdown, everything should be tethered to Evie's point of view. The camera shouldn't ever show us something she couldn't perceive. And for most of the runtime, it doesn't. We're almost always with her, or we're inside her head, and we're seeing what she's seeing, or at least what she thinks she's seeing. The running water in the bathroom, the statue of Mother Mary moving around, her mother standing in the bathroom, all of that stuff could be explained by a fractured mind. But then, it's that fucking doll on her fridge from the Mike and Jessa video. The camera pans right across it, and it even pauses on it for a second to show it to us. But Evie isn't looking at it. She doesn't react to it later because she doesn't know it's there. The camera just shows it to us.
So it's a supernatural story?
You would think so. But I had to watch it again.
Hey.
Hello?
And on my second viewing, I started to track all the imagery, like the staircase and all the repeated shots from the bottom of the stairs looking up towards that bright bluish light and the crucifix on the wall. It was like he was suggesting the truth is upstairs, or redemption is upstairs. And then the constant shots of the mirrors with Evie's reflection splitting, so she's not whole. And she leaves the water running while she's talking on the phone, which was super weird, until later when she thinks her mom turned the water on, even though the film is basically telling us she did it herself. And then the coded message in the audio file titles atonement a tenet, which I thought meant paying back a debt, like a religious debt or a religious guilt. And by the time my carpet viewing happened, I had landed comfortably on purgatory. Evie's dead. The tapes are like a loop. Mike and Jessa are echoes of her own tragic story.
That's actually pretty good.
Right? I was all excited and relieved again because I'd figured it out. Again. But it happened again. I couldn't shake that fucking doll. And then we find out she's pregnant. And so I'm thinking Tuasin's obviously reaching for this horror isn't about Abizu at all. It's about maternal dread. Right? It's the fear of impending motherhood. It's the fear of failing your child the way you've just failed your own mother. It's the basic fear that you're not good. And then there's the nursery rhymes with the Baba Black Sheep in reverse and London Bridges hiding the might kill all insinuation inside it, which is, of course, about childhood comforts being corrupted, which is exactly what's happened to Evie's faith. What was supposed to protect her now terrifies her.
It sounds like you had to watch it 100 times.
And it feels like I've watched it 100 times, but don't get me wrong, there's some genuinely cool stuff in this movie. And for his first feature film, it's quite ambitious. The sound design is properly unsettling. So is the nested narrative concept, the podcast within a film playing recordings within the recordings. It kind of removes the idea these are Hollywood actors, and it makes what happens to Evie feel very real. But here's the problem. Ambition by itself is not execution. Ambition without proper direction is like throwing that doll on top of the fridge because it looks cool. Can you see what we're doing here right now with this phone call? On the surface, it just looks like I'm having a conversation with my friend about a movie I haven't been able to crack, right? But if you listen to it again, everything she's saying can be taken more than one way. She's asking if I have figured it out yet. And then she suggests it sounds like I had to watch the movie 100 times. And the prospect of that sounds exciting to her. She's not saying anything directly, but we're picking up subconsciously there might be something else going on. We are talking the absolute basics of sustaining 2 readings of one movie at the same time. It is not impossible. It just takes a director with some control who is willing to implement a couple of very basic rules. He should also have an awareness of what his camera should and should not be showing if he's going to stick to those rules. And then, on my 5th and final viewing, I wasn't even analyzing it anymore. I knew every single beat. I was anticipating what they were going to say to each other. I was even participating in some of the dialogue. And even though I was about to watch it for a 5th time in 1 week, I was sincerely hoping this is the time it was going to click for me. This is the time I was going to find that missing puzzle piece under the podcast table. And then in the final act, the camera pans through the kitchen one last time, and it's still fucking there. The doll is still on top of Evie's fridge. And this moment made me realize there is no puzzle piece hiding under the table. If this is her psychological breakdown, that doll does not belong in Evie's kitchen. It doesn't even make sense if it's a straightforward haunting either. Why would Jess's toy manifest in Evie's house? How does that even work? I'll tell you exactly how it works. Ian Tewison wanted both the psychological grief reading and the supernatural horror narrative, which are not impossible to reconcile, but reconciling them requires control and it requires consistency. And despite my thoroughly enjoying the tone this film created, Undertone doesn't have either of them.
So that's it? You couldn't find the answer?
No, that is the answer.
But you always find the answer. You're Johnny Recaps, aren't you?
Yeah, but not really. It's just like a channel thing. Are you okay?
As Neza Enoj, 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 as Neza Enoj.
Johnny is a dick. Not bad. Not bad. I think sometimes, even if you like the movie, the most honest thing you can say as a wannabe YouTube movie critic is that the film almost worked. That you could see the shape of something great and compelling within the static somewhere. And for the first time in over 200 videos, I am saying I couldn't figure this one out. And that's okay. That's okay.